been working here for a little over a year as a second job. I work there alone, and most days I open from 5 and minus 1 p.m. But 2 days I do the night shift and close around 12 p.m. Aside from a few minor issues with people, there really isn't a lot that going on. We have a lot of regulars, and then random guests and people from the hotel. My interactions with people are always polite, but very brief. One day, a guy came in, and it was my normal interaction with a customer. And I didn't think much of it, but he kept coming back, so thought, oh, a new regular. He started trying to talk more, and didn't see the harm in it, but still it was vague and never personal on my part. He would just tell me about his day and work, and I would reply nicely, and that was it. This went on for about 2 weeks, give or take, until one day he came in and was busy. He tried to talk and was my normal polite self, but also a little more dismissive because there was a line forming behind him. I told him to have a nice day and motioned to the line, hoping he'd get the hint. But he just got this weird, angry/disappointed look on his face, stared at me, and refused to move away from the counter. It was extremely awkward, so told the person behind him that could help them, hoping he'd step aside. But he didn't, so it was this weird stare-off, and had no idea what to do cause it was so random. After a little while, the person behind him said something, and he moved to the side, but stayed there while helped everyone. After the last person left, didn't look at him, and walked to the other side on the counter to pretend like was doing something, but he followed. And when looked up, he just said, "You made a mistake," and walked out. Had no idea what the hell that meant, but for the rest of the day, just had this pit in my stomach. He didn't come in the next few days, and I was hoping he would just stay away and find a new gas station to make his go-to place. Unfortunately, he didn't. He started coming in again, but was so rude and snappy towards me, and would ask for pipes and sex pills and stuff like that we have behind the counter, while giving me the grossest smile and staring in the most disrespectful way. I can't even explain it other than I knew he was buying that stuff and acting that way just to make me uncomfortable, but stayed polite and passive, and he would leave. He did this for a couple of days, then didn't come in for a few more. I assumed it was because never gave him a reaction to it, but who knows. He came back again and started parking next to me right when got there in the morning, or be there when was leaving. He never said or did anything, but would stare, and I'm sure he knew just his presence was unsettling. Again, ignored it, but made sure to tell my boss about it so he would know. This is where the layout of the store helps. He would normally park in the front and come in, but after a few days of the same stuff, he started coming in from the hotel down the hall. Hate this hall cause it ends a little before the opening to get behind the counter. There's a half-swinging gate things blocking the entrance, and he would push on it, so it would squeak every time, almost like announcing he was there. One day he did that. Willow was helping a regular, and thank God it was a regular because heard it, but didn't think anything of it. But after finished helping Jim, the regular, he asked me if we hired help, and said not that knew of why. He told me that some guy just went in the kitchen, asked him to stay for a second, and peeked around to the kitchen, and sure enough he was there. He started laughing and said, "Dang, thought I could scare you when your customer left." Told him he was not allowed back there and that he needed to leave. Tried to sound firm, but knew didn't he had a way of making me feel so nervous and uneasy. Again, told my boss about it, so he would know, but there wasn't much that could be done. He started coming back through the front again and parking next to me at every chance, even following me out during closing and waiting for me to finish locking up. The whole time he would just stare, but sometimes he'd ask if was hungry and wanted to get something, but always declined, saying I was tired or just had to get home. A couple times he tired to follow me home, but because knew his truck always drove around or went to my guy friend's house because he knew about him and told me to go there if he was following me just so he wouldn't know where lived. In the mornings, though, he would always be right back there when it was my shift and follow me in acting like he was getting a drink and stuff. And when was done opening the store, he'd put everything back and walk out. One day he got mad when I was helping a guys around my age, and again, it was a normal interaction. I smile at everyone, tell them to have a nice day, stuff like that, like a typical customer service / professional politeness. Nothing to warrant his response. But once the guy left, he said I was flirting and got all crazy, saying that wanted to meet up with him and do all this gross stuff and was being so inappropriate. I asked him to leave and told him I'd call the cops if he refused, and he left. Now in the maintenance room is the machine for the pumps, and go in there to print a receipt. It's to know the fuel levels and the alarms for them. Looking back was fucking stupid for going in there the following morning, but it's honestly the first thing do every morning because the light switch to the store lights are in there and have to print it every morning, so don't know. Anyways, he followed me in and stood in front of the door. I have never been so scared before because even if needed to scream, we're not near the hall leading to the hotel. Literally froze, and he had that weird look on his face again and kept asking me why I was being cold to him and asking me all these questions like we were dating. He was asking things like how could flirt with another guy in front of him, and why wouldn't I talk to him or smile at him anymore, and how could he make me happy again like before, and all this weird shit. He was really aggrieved and kept getting closer, so just started tell him anything I told him. He did make me happy, and we should go out because I need to finish opening, that I was at work, and this could get me in trouble. And we could meet up later to talk, maybe even get dinner, because he always asked if was hungry when I closed. I even gave him my brother's phone number and told him it was mine, literally just said whatever I needed to get out. And eventually, he seemed happy with that, hugged me and let us out. I walked behind the counter and stayed there until he said he had to go, then called my boss and told him what happened. My boss ended up coming in to let me go home early and said he'd be there with me my next shift. He also checked the cameras, and we also ended up reporting it, and the police were there in the morning too. And between the both of us, we explained how he'd been over the last few months. They did eventually talk to him and told him he wasn't allowed back at the store. And even though it really doesn't matter, cause what's a piece of paper going to do? To take them up on filing a restraining order because wanted the paper trail. They also said he had prior incidences, whatever that means. Didn't see him again after that, but a couple weeks ago, there was a flower on my car and didn't even bother with it, just got in and left. I'm hyper aware of my surroundings now and keep looking for him and making sure no one is following me home. I honestly feel paranoid, but my anxiety just won't settle down whenever I'm at work. Thankfully, I'm going to be done working there soon, but he definitely ruined me ever working a customer service role again.